Okay, here we go. Today is a great day because I am here with for me is the best of JKT because it's it's a young but it's a amazing JKT fighter. So I am happy to be here in the interview. This my big honor to interview Sifu Harinder Singh. So welcome here. And then how are you?
Thank you, Master Claudio. Good to see you, brother. It's been a long time. I hope to see you soon in person. It's been like 5 years since we've seen each other now, since Hawaii.
Great, great. Yes. um, I would like start with immediately with the questions, and then also I would like remember to all our our visitors and person that will be in this interview if they want to comment and ask you some question, so you can answer if you like it. Okay, you can answer all the questions from European guys because today is a day of European guys, JKD European guys that they want to see you, they want to understand your history. But the first point and the first question that for me is very important is ask you the lineage of your JKT system.
Yes. I come from Paul Vunak, who comes from Dan Inosanto, Bruce Lee, Dan Inosanto, Paul Vunak. Paul Vunak was my first Jikendo teacher. I also studied with Sifu Richard Bustillo, Sifu Larry Hartzell briefly, and I've attended seminars with Guru Dan Inosanto. So I've not studied privately with him, but I studied privately with Sifu Richard Bustillo and Sifu Larry Hartzell, and most of my time was with Paul Vunak.
Great. I remember when we our meeting in Honolulu, when you explained me a lot of your principles, and then you told me about the Savat, right? Also Savat, because I never forget that time.
Yes, and my Savat teacher lives in Reunion Island, La Réunion, a part of France, in the Indian Ocean. His name is Professor Daniel Duby de Laverne. I went to find him because I heard he was the best Savat man, and people said his kicks were closest to Bruce Lee, and his ability to close the gap was really amazing. So I said I had to go learn directly from him.
Awesome. I never forget your mentality because you search the best for you, and you learn. You never stop studying. Never stop. So incredible. I never forget the time. I would like to ask you another question. The question number 2 is about your history, the history of Sifu Harinder Singh.
Okay. So I started when I was a child. I started in karate when I was 6 to about 19. And then I moved to the United States. I grew up in Toronto, Canada. And I moved to the United States I was actually on a tennis scholarship to do my engineering degree. So I have, for those who don't know, I have a computer electrical engineering degree. And for about 7-8 years, I worked in the Silicon Valley in the .com boom days, when the stock options were really good at that time. And what happened was, for me, there was a pivotal moment where I was attacked. I think, like many people, there's some reason why they really get into martial arts and why it becomes their life purpose. That at some point in their life, there's some kind of a trauma that happens, something that happens that gets them scared, maybe an ass kicking or some bully or something like that. And, growing up, you have altercations with people here and there. But when I was about 20, 21 years old, I was attacked by a gang, a local gang. I was in the wrong place, wrong time, and there's about 25 of them and 5 of us, and I almost lost my life. God saved us because the people they were looking for came by. So this is not something, I didn't do anything heroic. I was getting my ass kicked all over the place, and but God saved us. But in that moment, I realized a couple of things. So I'll tell a quick story for those of you who don't know. There's a place in San Francisco called Ocean Beach. Okay, comes down a big hill, and then there's the parking lot is high up, and then you have to walk about 100 meters, 200 meters to the beach down. We were the last 2 cars to arrive, and this is when I'm in college. So first thing you do in college when you get to the beach, before you even get to the beach, you open some beers, right, and hang out with your friends. And out of the darkness, this was a territory for a local gang. They were looking for somebody, and I can just think about no awareness, first of all, right? You're just having a good time, having fun, and 25 people come up. You don't even see them come up until they're too close. And they were looking for somebody, and their leader, who's smoking a cigarette, asked one of the guys next to me for one. And in that moment, you look over here, and as you look over there, the whole fight breaks loose. They grab my roommate to my left, take him inside, and start beating on him, and they fight in a formation. So this is the first time I'm seeing a formation fight. It's not like in the movies where everybody circles you, they come one at a time, and it's not like that. There's beer bottles being broken, there's knives that come out, there's weapons, there's many people, all sorts of things happening. And then you turn and you look and you see some people, they run away. That's okay, because this is one of those situations. And you have to make a choice, because the guy they grabbed was my roommate, was one of my best friends. And in my head, it was like, run or stay. And I say, okay, I stay. And then the one guy hits me with a 2x4, is like a wooden board he had taken from a fence. Okay, he was just walking around with this thing. And he does that. I blocked it, and I hit him, and then I start running. And people are chasing me. Now, while that's happening, my friend is in the middle being beaten, and then they make a perimeter around him. Well, then there's other people chasing me. So then it was more like a rugby match. So I'm running around like rugby, these guys are chasing me, running in between cars and all this. People are throwing things, getting hit, trying to kick. So it doesn't look like what you think something like that looks like. But I discovered, Claudio, that day, I discovered something very interesting. Two things. Number one, I didn't know what to do in that situation. I didn't know when somebody's trying to kill you, somebody's trying to hurt you at that level, what is that like? You get in a fight with a guy here and there, fuck you, whatever, and you get in a fight, this is whatever. But not like this, and with many people, with beer bottles and weapons and things like that. And they don't care about you, right? There's no humanity there. And I didn't know what to do. So that was one thing I realized in that moment. The second thing, which is I had the most peaceful moment of my life in that moment. Because in that moment, with everything going on, time stopped. Everything slowed down. And I was like, holy shit, what's happening? Because of the fight and flight happening, you just go to a different place. I just didn't know what to do. So it felt so peaceful while everybody's doing this, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm running around, but everything was like in slow motion, like the Matrix. So that this day I discovered the flow state. People call it the flow state, that state of mind when you get in, where it's just flowing. Everything is slow. There's no emotions happening. There's no panic happening. And it's peaceful, and in the chaos. And that day I discovered the flow state, which was the peace in the chaos. And I also discovered, I don't know what to do in this kind of a situation. So that started my whole journey to where we are now. Because, when we talk about chaos, oftentimes people think chaos is a peace, for example, is the opposite of chaos. No chaos means peace.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true. Peace is a choice when there's chaos.
Okay.
Right?
Great.
It's a choice when there's chaos. Because if there's no chaos, nothing's happening. You're comfortable.
Yeah.
Peace is the choice. And the wave, I know you live by the ocean. When you have the wave going by, the big wave is coming. If you hit right down at the bottom, it's peaceful there while the big wave is coming over. It's just the choice. The peace is happening. In the hurricane, in the center is absolutely still. There's a still point. So I realized for the first time that still point, and I could feel it in my body. And then I realized, hey, man, I don't know what to do in this situation. So those two questions shaped my entire training, from then going to find the people who trained the military and the government agencies, and going into Jeet Kune Do and Kali and the Filipino martial arts. But at the same time, I also started to study Tai Chi. I started to study meditation and Qigong and meditation. And I started to study that to figure out how to blend the two worlds. And then my whole training was always about, can I get into this flow state, be fluid and be like water on command when somebody's trying to hurt me? And that has been my mission. throughout. And I mentioned my Jeet Kune Do lineage. I went and I studied and became a Sifu in Wing Chun Kung Fu under the Ip Man Liang Sheng, who was his first disciple,
Great.
Sifu Bender. Who Sifu Bender, by the way, was there with Ip Man when Bruce Lee was there. They were classmates at that time, so there's an interesting overlap there. And then I studied, Chen Taiji under Master Feng Zhichuang lineage and Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson. And so I started to study that and the Neigong and all that stuff to understand myself better, to understand awareness better, to feel more. And then I studied the fighting, and then the fighting became a vehicle to feel more. So it's like, okay, when somebody's throwing a punch at you, can I be relaxed? Do I not react? Can I get over my own fear of being hurt? Can I get over my own fear of losing? Can I get over my fear of what people think? Right? Well, most of the time we think about a fight, right? And it's like, you're not really afraid of the person beating you. You're afraid of what everybody else is going to think when you lose. That's kind of crazy, right? They're like, oh, what will happen to my reputation? What will people think? And at the end of the day, when you do the work, you realize none of that even matters. Why should it matter? Can we let go of our attachments to victory and defeat? Can we let go of what's happening? Can we let go of who's better, who's not? And can we just be free in the moment? And I think that's the whole point of martial arts and the training. And it's a vehicle for us martial artists. We know because it works or it doesn't work. Can you be calm and relaxed, or are you thinking in your head and worried and panic? What's happening? You can't lie to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great. During your answer, many people understand what I said before. That's why I was very, very honored to be here, because you give it us a lot of principles in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a lot of principles. That's why you can understand why for me it's a great moment to share it with you. Because many European guys do not know about these principles, and maybe they only read, but you live it. You live it. You live it this way. This way of fighting is fantastic. It's fantastic. You understand the instinctive way, mechanical and emotionally. A lot of principles inside in our mind, in our body. Is fantastic. Thank you so much for this explanation, because it's great. It's great for me.
Well, I know because when we met, I was like, oh, I just watched you move, and I was like, hey, we need to hang out, and you need to show me what you're doing, because the movement doesn't lie, the eyes don't lie, the expression, how the body changes doesn't lie. You can't fake that. You know what I mean? And it's like a tiger. When a tiger gets ready to pounce, there's a mechanic to it. There's an emotion to it. There's a killer instinct, and there's a calm, and there's an awareness. There's the complete balance. You're relaxed and alert at the exact same time, the yin yang. And one thing I've been blessed is, over in my career, a lot of my work has been with police and military and government agencies. So not only have I had an opportunity to train them, but I've learned a lot from them also. Because these are people that are always staring death down death's door, being in these situations and circumstances. So constantly figuring out what works, what doesn't work, what helps them survive situations, what are things they've learned, has also helped me develop not only as a teacher, but as a martial artist. So it's very important that the way we train and the way we understand ourselves under pressure is the most important thing, because that is everything. And that's where the truth lies. It doesn't matter how many fights you've been in and all that kind of stuff. What matters is, how do you perform when the pressure is against you? Can you click to a different place? And you either know that or you don't know that. And that's one of the most important discoveries as martial artists we have to make, is that internal discovery of what our real fears are.
Great. I have another big question for you, but not only for you, because in Europe, especially in Italy, we have a lot of masters and practitioners of JKD. But I would like to ask you directly, what is JKD? Because in the mind of the people, they have an idea, no, but for me, you are very important in this way, so I would like to ask you, what is JKD? Thank you for
sure. So Jeet Kune Do is the way of the intercepting fist. Okay. So let's take a look at that for a second. Okay, the way of the intercepting fist. To intercept an opponent, and everybody knows interception, before the guy starts, you get him. Okay, sometimes an interception, you get him at the same time. Sometimes it's after, right? There's different times that you can hit somebody. But when we're talking about interception being first, so there's a saying that says, start second, arrive first.
Okay,
Right?
great.
Start second, arrive first means he goes and then you can beat him to it. But how do you do that? Interception requires awareness. Your perception has to be ahead of your interception. So the level of your perceptive ability is going to determine your ability to read your opponent, to feel your opponent, to connect to your opponent, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes we look at the first level as technique to technique as you're learning, but technique to technique means speed, power are going to determine the victor, who's going to win. And speed and power is limited. It's limited by age. It's limited by the practitioner. Maybe the guy's just faster than you, stronger than you. That doesn't mean you're going to lose. You're going to lose if it's based on speed and power. It was very important, but it's a limiting factor. So, in the Jeet Kune Do symbol, it says, having no way is way, having no limit is limit. And people don't understand what that means, okay? So having no way is way, let's go in there. So first, you have to have a way before you aren't stuck to a way. So that means there's a form. I teach you how to do a jab. This is the way of the jab, the form, the technique of the jab. I have to learn it so much that I don't think about it anymore. And then bam, it just comes out when it needs to come out. There's no way, there's no time. It's just, there's a flow to when it comes. And having no limit is limit. What that means is, what are your own limitations? What are your preferences? Everybody has a preference. If you don't understand what your own preferences, a good opponent will know your preferences. If he knows your preferences, he knows your patterns. If he knows your patterns, you're stuck in a way. If you're stuck in a way, you can be read, and then therefore you can be countered, you can be intercepted. So it's when I think about it, everybody should study the art of war and really understand the art of war and how it applies to the decisions and the thoughts and the choices that they make when they're fighting and who's fighting. And then the next thing becomes, okay, when we train and we practice, how do we get to a point of where I'm just observing my opponent and I'm not trying to hit them? Because the moment I say, Claudio, I'm going to try to hit Claudio, you feel me trying to hit you, you intercept me. I know you would do that. Because you've trained so much, you feel that, for a way to put it for everybody. When you're fighting somebody, you're sparring somebody, you're fighting, and somebody who knows what they're doing, as you're moving, they're tracking you. They're tracking you.
Yeah.
So if they're tracking you and you're tracking them, you're both tracking each other. Okay?
Okay.
How can we get to the point that you can track the tracker? That means, can I track you tracking me? If I can track you tracking me, I know what you're looking at, then I can let you see something that you want to see. As opposed to me just tracking you and you tracking me and we try to beat each other. It's not going to work. Then we're back to speed. There's no sensitivity. That's what sensitivity really is, the ability to feel what's going to happen next. The ability to be like water. Bruce Lee said, be formless, shapeless like water. Be water, my friend. But the part that they don't leave out of the whole quote that he says is empty your mind. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. It means like, man, if you're in your mind thinking about what you're going to do, if you're in your mind saying, I'm going to do this, you've already made a choice. That means You're no longer limitless.
Awesome.
Right? So that means if your choice wins, it wins. But guess what? It may not. And now you've put yourself in a hole. The limitless possibilities isn't there anymore. And I think that's something very important to start to understand. If you read Bruce Lee's work, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do, if you look at the Jeet Kune Do symbol, this is my new office, so I don't have the symbol, but the practitioners know the Jeet Kune Do symbol is a yin yang with two arrows around it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Having no way is way, having no limit is around it, right? Okay. This is not a Jeet Kune Do symbol. This is the Tai Chi symbol. It's a philosophy of Tai Chi. This is not Jeet Kune Do. It's thousands of years old. But what does it mean? It means that there's a yin and there's a yang, yeah? Everybody knows this. Within yin, there's a little yang. Within yang, there's a little yin. Okay, everybody knows this too. Fine. But the secret is in the center, the S, which is the balance. What is the balance between the two? And balance is shifting and changing. Balance is not 50-50. Maybe in one situation, balance is 99-1%. But the balance changes. It's like a tracking, like a heat-seeking, when a jet fires a missile, the heat-seeking, the tracking missile. So I'm going like this, and the jet fires the missile, and I move, and the missile moves and moves. That's balance. Balance is not a straight line. It's shifting and it's changing. And that balance is what we need. And I think that's something that's very important for practitioners of any martial art, that you just have to be honest and ask yourself, are you doing what your teacher taught you? Are you doing what the principles are? And people can give an answer. But the next question you have to ask yourself is, what are you not seeing? What are you attached to? What have you made your religion? What have you made your truth? What have you made your pattern? The art of war. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you're sure to succeed. Don't know yourself, don't know your enemy, going to fail. Know yourself, don't know your enemy, 50-50. But what is that saying? It's saying you have to know your patterns. You have to know your opponent's patterns. But if you say, oh, I know my patterns, but these patterns I'm going to use, these are the ones that are going to work because my teacher told me, my lineage, which is great. We all were there. I was there too. Everybody's there. But that pattern limits you. Now you have a way. So I think one of the most important things, if this makes sense, is that people have to discover their own way. Everybody fights differently. You and I were built totally differently. You're like 6'2". You're long and you're lean. The way you move is not going to be the way that I move. I'm built differently. You're built like a hawk. I'm built more like a lion. The lion will never move like the hawk, and the hawk will never move like the lion. But we can learn the principles. And the principles are always about what? Timing, angle, distance, root, body mechanics, structure. And then you start getting to perception, is like outreach, envelopment, feeling what's happening. And that's where everything lies. That's where the study lies. So if your study is trapped by technique, you'll always be trapped in a pattern on the physical level. If you can get beyond that and get to the point of feeling what's happening, being aware what's happening, and understand where it is that you react, what causes your reactions. Because what causes your reactions are also all patterns. So even when you train, oh, he does this, I do that. This is a reaction. You're creating a reaction. It's not a response. A response is in that moment you choose, I go here. And that's what makes it fun. It's like chess.
Yes.
I don't know. I hope that answer the question, because there's a lot of wonderful Jeet Kune Do people, and I have so much respect for. I have respect for all martial artists. I'm a student. That's it. If I'm one thing I'm master of, it's just being a student, because I know all the shit I don't know, and that's a lot. The more I train, the more I realize how much I don't know, and I think that's something really important that makes it fun for me, because every day I train I learn something new, maybe even doing the same move over and over and over again. The simplicity is to find what's the new thing that you're not seeing, what's getting in your way. And almost always we are in our own way of our own growth. We are in our own way of feeling what's happening, connecting to the opponent, because we have an agenda. We're attached to winning. Everybody wants to win. That's it. So if everybody wants to win, what happens when you lose?
Yeah.
Now you're going to be sad. You're going to be upset. Winning and losing can't matter, right? And that's what we have to let go of, winning and losing. And winning and losing first in a fight, then winning and losing. We're also always trying to win the hearts and minds of people. We want people to like us. We want people to be our friends. We want people to respect us. I mean, this all bullshit gets in the way anyways. If you want people to respect you, means you don't really love and respect yourself. You don't trust yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's something very important. That's what martial arts helps me get through, because oftentimes there's three things that come in the way. There's security or fear. Okay. Then there's approval. Okay. And then there's control. See, that's the thing. We think we want to control the fight. You can't control the fight. I can't control the enemy. I can't control what's going to happen. I can only control how I react to it or how I respond to it. Approval. Oh, we need other people to respect us. We need people to say how great we are, and what will everybody think of me? You know, that's a big problem, because we put that into the fight.
Yes.
And then security. What are you afraid of? You have to know what you're afraid of. If you don't know what you're afraid of, you're in trouble. And oftentimes, it's really funny, right, Claudio? Oftentimes, I think most people, if you ask yourself, you're not really afraid of losing a fight. You're afraid that somebody else might find out you lost the fight.
Great.
Right?
Awesome.
And I think if you're really most people are really honest, they know. Because inside they'll be like, oh, I let down my teacher, I let down my style, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, all that. But if we don't work through all that shit, what's the point, man?
So great. A lot of principle again and again. you teach a lot of principle to the people. It's fantastic. Now included. You taught me a lot of things, a lot of, I'm thinking about, and I forget the question now. So great. No, but now it's a moment of the big question, because many, European guys, Italian guys, want to know about you, about Sifu Harinder in real fight, because people want to know your experience. If something happens in the past, when you fight, what happened in that moment, if you have, but I know you have a lot of experience, because I never forget when we were to Honolulu, and you taught me, you shared with me, the ground fighting system. I never forget. It's fantastic. It was from, real fight, not from also technique or something like that. I understand this, but I would like to ask you if some experience. Okay, what happened in that time when you fought? Okay, in real fight.
Okay, so when we talk about real fights, here's the interesting thing, right? If I tell you all my fights, everybody's going to be like, oh, he's bragging. If I don't tell you anything, you won't believe me. So what I think it comes down to, there's many experiences I have, but I share an experience with you when I lost a fight.
Okay.
Because you learn more from when you lose than when you win, and there's a lesson. Okay, and I fought this guy. It was a sparring match, but it was a fight, and I call him the Silver Samurai. Okay, it was about 70 years old, and I was 28. Okay, and maybe 60, 65, 70. He's really old. So the way it goes is, I was with my teacher, and I came to train for 5 days with my teacher, and a whole bunch of other people came to train. And there was this old guy, and this old guy was in the corner watching the whole weekend. He never did anything. I just look at this old guy, I'm like, oh man, he can't even move. He walked with a limp, right? Yeah. Hunchback over, not like, like a fighter, nothing. I just thought he was just some old guy watching. He didn't even participate the whole time. So on the last day, the teacher was like, okay, now you guys are going to spar. You're going to fight. And in the sparring there, it was stick fighting, kickboxing, grappling. So everything, he said, okay, start with the sticks. And now we're stick fighting, drop the stick. Now we were kickboxing. Now after we kickbox, now we're grappling. Then it's whatever happens. So it's not the realm of just one art per se. So I'm waiting for my turn, right? So I'm looking at all the guys, right? I'm looking at all the guys. I'm like, oh, that guy's big. Okay, the whole weekend I watch him. Oh, this is his weakness. And I look at that other guy. He's fast. Okay, I look at that guy. He's aggressive. So I'm looking at all the guys that who's going to be the guy. So when my turn comes up and I was the last person to go, he says, the guy's name is Yamamoto, right? He's a Japanese guy. And I hear his name, Yamamoto. Wake up. My teacher calls his name, Yamamoto. Wake up. And Yamamoto comes on. What, the old guy? You want me? Right? So in my mind, I'm the old guy. And he walks up and he limps up like this. And then, we're about to start. And then in my mind, I'm like, what is that? How am I going to hit this old guy? This is crazy, right? And then the teacher says, begin. It's still in my mind. I'm like, he's old. I'm not underestimating my opponent. And as I'm thinking, boom, out of nowhere, he hits me with the jab, and then smiling tiger. The smiling tiger, he starts to smile from the side. And all of a sudden, the limp is gone, and he's standing straight, and he's moving like nothing's wrong with him. Right? So I'm like, holy shit, what's happening? But in my mind, as I'm trying to figure out, boom, he hits me again. And now I'm like, these guys hit me a few times, and now I'm getting embarrassed because I'm like, I was here to show the teacher, hey, I trained really hard for this. Look at me, I should be your disciple, and then all the guys looking at me. And now my mind starts going and I start thinking. And I start saying to myself, I can't believe this guy's hitting me. I'm getting so embarrassed. What's happening? Boom, he hits me again. And then now I'm getting angry. Now I get angry. I get upset. I get frustrated. I hold my breath in, and I was holding my breath. And now I'm getting even more panicked. And now I lose my breath, and I start getting really tired. I can't breathe anymore. Boom, he hits me. I try to hit him. He gets out of the way. And now I'm so tired. But I'm like, I can't show everybody I'm tired. So I'm pretending like I'm not tired. So I get even more tired and frustrated. Finally, at the end, the teacher says, okay, quit. And then I'm still trying to pretend like everything is okay. No, this didn't bother me. And then eventually when we stop, I go, and then I was just like, I'm so exhausted. And then I look at the teacher and I say, hey, so what happened here? I go, what happened here? I'm 28. I'm best shape of my life. This guy's old. What happened? He's sitting there smiling. He's not even breathing. He's just smiling. He's really happy. He was happy the whole time. And he says, he was not trying to prove anything. He was having fun. He was in the moment. He was enjoying himself. He was moving slow because he didn't, his perception of time was much slower than mine because he was relaxed. So that window of, let's say, 1 second for him was like, whoa. For me, the 1 second, like this, the same 1 second. Because in my mind, I was thinking, and it was the problem because I was worried about what everybody else would be thinking because of my ego. My ego was like, I can't lose to, I'm the guy at this point. I want to kick all your asses. I want to be chosen by the teacher. I want to be the one. It should be me. So my ego, my pride, my vanity made me so tense, made me think. So now no perception, no awareness, and lots of tension. Lots of tension. Everybody says, just relax. But what does relax mean? Relax is the art of finding tension and letting it go. We have to find the tension and let it go. But that's what relax means. Otherwise, when somebody says just relax, like, dude, if I could relax, I would relax. Don't you think so? So the tension for me was the thinking, what the result was going to be, that I needed to win, and what people would think of me. My pride, my ego was in the way. And that day I learned a really valuable lesson. And that valuable lesson was that I'm never fighting anybody. I'm just fighting myself. If I'm fighting myself and the person, I'm outnumbered. Of course I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose every time. It's 2-on-1.
Right.
So it's 2-on-1. I'm going to lose that fight every single time. So that day I started to realize, I was like, okay, so the first most important fight is in my own head. Can I be okay with losing and not have this voice start talking in my head? How do I kill that guy? So my fight has always been with that guy, not with the guy outside. Because the guy outside, if you beat me and I'm not beating myself, be my teacher. So be it. Good. You kill me, it's my time to go. But if
Great.
I'm in there like this, I'm beating myself. The enemy number one is always here. You know, when they say know yourself, know your enemy, as I said earlier, it's know yourself and know enemy number one who's here, not the other guy. It's never about the other guy. And that is one of the most important lessons I learned. And, you know, he was, you know, Cher, the singer Cher. I found out later, you know, the famous American singer Cher. He was her bodyguard for 30 years. So, and I call him the Silver Samurai, right? Because he lured me and he had so much fun. And I always remember that experience. And, you know, there's many times when, you know, you're maybe in the military, when you have to get a contract with the military or SWAT teams, you got big, strong guys there. And they're like, well, you're not in the military. You're not SWAT, you know. How do we know this is going to work? They're going to test you. And so there's many of those situations. But at the end of the day, it's like, if we understand the mind, the emotions and how they work and the techniques to work under that pressure, and if they work for the military, then they should work for a regular dude. And I think that's the most important thing, is to understand that. And how do we perform in those situations? And there's been many times that we all know, if you do a seminar or you travel around the world and you teach all over the place, there's always going to be somebody that's going to say, oh, can I feel your energy? Right? They're never going to say, just challenge us, fight. They say, can I feel your energy? Or it's going to be the big guy who waits. So you wait, you know, he waits there, you know, as you go and you train with everybody, and he waits to go last. And it's you're tired, and you start to see body language, you start to feel people. But at the end of the day, it's always about learning. So if you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you're not going to learn. I've spent more of my life getting my ass kicked than kicking ass, because I pay teachers to beat me up. That's the whole thing. My teacher's professional boxers. You get it there with a big professional boxer, 210 pounds, Derek Sierra. The first time I boxed him, he beat the shit out of me. What got me better? My Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professor, he's a 6-time world champion. I don't win. I pay him to be smashed for 2 hours at a time, all the time. Because the whole thing is, it's never about winning or losing. It's about the uncomfortable situation. And can I find the peace and make myself comfortable there? That's it. When I was younger, I cared a lot about winning. That's the only thing that drove me, was winning, that I had to be the best. That makes me really angry. So you wake up every day and you train with anger. Then you're walking around angry. Oh, what did you say? What did you say about my teacher? What did you say? Let's fight. Let's go. And you have that. But that's not the way, because now I'm attached to something and an outcome. And eventually through martial arts, you start to understand the reason you're so angry is because you're afraid. The reason you're so angry is because you want your teacher's approval. The reason you're so angry is because, guess what? Your dad didn't love you as a child. And you realize that, and you let it go. And what's martial arts really about is about empowerment. And true empowerment is empowerment over who you think you are. True empowerment is, who are you really? And who you really are is just an observer. Can you just be in the fight and observe what's happening and be okay with what's ever happening? And I think that's the most thing. Can you be okay with losing? And so you put yourself in those situations. So, you know, Grandmaster Darren Tabone, one of my teachers, man, when I was introduced to him, I walked by and I saw his son, Ches, you know them very well. And I looked at him, I was like, this guy, that's crazy shit, man. This is nuts. And I said, I have to train with you. I have to train with you. I want to feel that. And then that pressure that it brings is very uncomfortable. That discomfort is very uncomfortable. But my thing has always been, okay, put yourself around people that make you very uncomfortable, so that whoever else is there will make you less uncomfortable. And that's really it, you know, and you'll notice oftentimes that your ability to survive situations will increase, because you'll be able to outlast the discomfort of the situation. Because oftentimes that's what gets us, is the discomfort of the situation and our reaction, our tension in the situation. So the ability to breathe and calm down and relax and not be attached to what's going to happen and be free in the chaos. I mean, that's the greatest gift martial arts can give us, you know, and it's saved me many, many times, you know.
Great. This is, in my opinion, this is not an interview. This is a lesson for the people, because you teach a lot of things. Thank you so much for this explanation, because very, very important for the mentality of the people, for the ego of the people. So thank you so much for this, because I really, really appreciate your explanation about the real situation, of the life. You know, it's fantastic. Thank you for this. Now, I would like to ask you another good question, because you know the European guys, especially European guys, decide to see from since the beginning of the program and the end of the program. So I would like to ask you, you know, the program of the JKD system.
So for me, there's two words, right? One is fight and one is flow. You have to be able to do both. So what do I mean by that? So there are tactics and strategies of fighting that we have to understand, and they're universal. It doesn't matter what we call it, JKD or Wing Chun or whatever the name is, doesn't really matter. There's principles that matter. And so there are fighting principles and physical attributes that we have to understand. But then we have to be able to flow. And by flow, what I mean is the flow state of the mind. Can we be free and flow? Can we not get angry? Can we not get emotional? What does flow mean? I'll describe flow a little bit better. There's 4 things that happen when you're in flow. Okay. Number 1 is that when you're in flow, there is no chitter chatter in the mind. Okay. There's no mind. There's no talk happening. There's no negative talk happening in the mind. I call it the enemy number 1. There's no enemy number 1 happening. Number 2 is that time. Your time, the perception of time changes. So when you're in flow, in a fight, the second feels longer.
Yes.
Okay. It feels longer. You have all the time in the world. But if you're thinking and panicking, that time feels shorter. You start to sweat, the panic, your breath, it starts to change, right? So you when you're in flow, you slow down while everybody speeds up. Okay. Then the next thing that happens there is that there's an effortless awareness. Your awareness is effortless. You're not trying. The moment you try to win, you try to fight, you again have tension. And then the final thing is that when you're in there, regardless of win or lose, it's a rewarding experience. It's a good experience because you felt that. But if you're trying, then you get exhausted. If you're talking, you start to panic, time speeds up. So it's important we understand that part. And then the other part of flow is we have to be able to flow in the physical realm of whether it's what range are you in? Are you in a kicking in a punching range? Are you in a trapping range? Are you in grappling? Are you outside in weapons and stick and knife range? Is it multiple opponents? You have to be able to flow between where the fight can go. So, you know, Hicks and Gracie says you flow with the go, not go with the flow. There's a difference, right? Go with the flow means I'm going with your flow. Your wave is going, I go with your wave, and your wave takes me. Flow with the go means your wave is going, but I flow with you. You see, there's a difference. I choose where to go.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's an important thing. So when I teach people, it's the principles are very important to understand of how we're going to fight, what range we're fighting in, and then what's the mentality. And then how do we get to a point that when we are in this situation, that we are free from our own mind, our own fears, our own emotions, so that we can truly be adaptable. Because if in my mind, I have, this is how it's going to be, and if it's not that way, then I'm in trouble. And if it's not going my way, then I'll have tension. Yeah. So how can I truly be free and create. As a martial artist, what we are doing is we are creating a solution in the middle of chaos and somebody's trying to hurt you. So it's the ultimate thing. If you can create a solution when somebody's trying to stop you from creating the solution, then when you go outside in life, in regular life, man, it doesn't matter. Everything else doesn't really matter. And that's what I love about martial artists. Everybody here who's a martial artist, I know you know that because it's the way of life. And that's what it's really all about at the end of the day, you know? And of course, training is fun, right? Training is fun. So you have to have fun training and you have to enjoy what you do. And that's why we all do it. But if we truly ask ourselves, the bottom of our heart, what are we really scared of and why are we really training? What are we really running from? That's what we have to really face.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's fantastic. Fantastic. Again, explanation. Fantastic. Now I have another big question for you because I am happy to ask you this because I know everybody in the world now are influenced by Bruce Lee, okay, and also Danny Santo. So Guru Danny Santo, I know that you know him, and I would like to ask you about you and Danny Santo in the past, and I'm happy to ask you this because many European guys do not know this. I would like to ask you.
Yeah, you know, I wish I would have had more of an opportunity to train with Guru Dan and Asano personally. I've really only trained with him attending seminars of his. And one of the things that I have to say is that he is one of the greatest martial artists to ever exist, regardless of the time, because of his ability to understand martial arts, number one, teach it, number two, and number three, he is single-handedly responsible for introducing the Filipino martial arts to the rest of the world. Yeah. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do. So he's like an ambassador of the martial arts in general. The philosophy, a humble, gentle man is really kind, that shows this is what it's really about. It's not about an ego, and it's about so much more than fighting, and it's kindness and a love and a compassion that anybody you ask that's a student of his is going to say that about him. Not only is he an amazing practitioner, a great teacher, but above it all, he's a kind and humble, gentle man. And I think that's what we all strive towards. So, you know, I wish I had more of a chance to train with him than I did, but we all have our own paths. But he is definitely, to me, an icon, a legend. And, you know, I wouldn't be here if he hadn't taught my teachers.
Great. Yeah, he's a legend. He's a legend. He's fantastic man and teacher, I know. Great. Now another good question for me, because it's about one of our brother. So I would like to ask you about you and Grandmaster Darren T-Bone, because for me it's very, very important, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, words can't express my gratitude towards Grandmaster Darren T-Bone, Angel's disciples, Datu Ches T-Bone, and, you know, being a part of their family, being a part of Angel's disciples, and really getting a chance to sit down and learn from him directly and feel his energy directly. I know you've seen him, so you can see, you know, you can tell when somebody doesn't move. You're like, oh, you know, you tell they know, and that feeling. But more importantly, his ability to teach and his ability to understand not only the history behind everything, but why things work and why do they work the way that they do, and the creativity to create training drills and fighters and martial artists who operate at such a high level that they allow you to push you to get better. And again, also, just like I said about Guru Dan, a very humble man, a very kind man with his knowledge, somebody who's loved and revered by all his students. And that you can tell when you go into somebody's martial arts family, how they treat you, how they treat everybody, what are they like? And that all comes down to the teacher and the atmosphere the teacher creates. So to me, he's a genius. You know, I got to tell you, he's a genius, because when I went to him, I had studied many different types of Filipino martial arts. But once I started studying with him, I started to understand how those all worked also. and what I was missing and what I didn't understand, the details of where the foot needs to go, the weight needs to shift, where the hands need to be, how to be 3 moves ahead of the opponent. So everything I talked about earlier with the mindset, the awareness, 3 hits, 1 kill concept, and really understanding that, because here's somebody who's used it, done it at a very high level. He's trained other people to a very high level. And it also comes from Angel Kabbalists, also very high level people who've used it in life and death situations. You start to understand the flavor is different. It's a different energy. And to me, in my development, the moment I saw the move, I was like, I want that. And I'm lucky that he accepted me as one of his students and private students, and I still have a lot to learn.
Yeah, great. I confirm this because we are here. We are here now. So he created legacy, mentality, legacy events, and now we are in the legacy, European legacy too. So it's fantastic. I'm here with you now. Yes. So thank you so much, me included. Thank you so much to Grandmaster Darren T-Bone, because I confirm all of you taught me and you said me now, because Grandmaster Darren T-Bone is amazing. He's very little,
Yeah, and like you said, I think that's the thing, is that, the other thing that I think people need to see is how much time and effort he's put over the years to promote Filipino martial arts, but not just promote them himself, bring the community together of all the different styles. Most of the time, let's be honest, everybody's always kind of like, my style is better. They have people have, they have barriers and walls and beliefs that are different. But to bring everybody together from all the different styles, all the different systems, and honor the teachers and honor the grandmasters that have been there, I think that's one of the most important things in history through the Legacy series that he did with Masters Magazine, and now you're doing it in Europe, is very important, because now it's recorded for future history. Because a lot of the masters, even when we started Legacy, a lot of them, they were older, they passed away. So knowledge gets lost as that generation is getting older, and time's going to kill us all. So at the end of the day, that preservation of that knowledge and bringing together a community so that we can all learn. I mean, I wouldn't have met you otherwise. And when I saw you move, I was like, hey, man, let's get together. What were you doing? How were you doing that? And you see the body mechanics, you see the person's movement, you see their flow, you see their energy, you see their spirit when they move. And at the end of the day, it's all about people finding what they like, right? What they like. Because you're going to practice it. So if you see somebody move and you like that, go do that. Just go do that. You liked it. There's a reason why you liked it. Don't question why you liked it. How many fights that person been in? There's no need. You liked it. That's why we all got into it. I liked it. It's like, oh, look at that shit. Bruce Lee I like that. You see him in TV, or you see somebody move. That's your eye gets drawn to what you like. So just do what you like. And as long as you do what you like, training's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely. Now I'm going to read some comments from our brother Romeo Bravo. He wrote, awesome. So how did he end up finding Serrada? SQ.
It was in 2014. There was Long Beach Internationals, which was a big event. And one of my other brothers, I think you should have on the show, is Professor James Hunden, who's, we trained together for 10 years up to that point, still do together. He was down there to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And there was a weekend, and then there was a big seminar. And the next day after that, I went to see him get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he was nominated by Grandmaster Darren T-Bone. And then he's like, hey, you got to check these guys out. So then the next day I went to see the seminar. And then 2 weeks later, I had Grandmaster Darren T-Bone at my annual event, and haven't looked back since, And it was a real honor and pleasure, as always. I'm very blessed to have him in my life, because not only has he helped promote the Filipino martial arts, he's also helped really promote me and push me as well, which I have much gratitude for.
Great. Also, brother Aguirre Najib, Good afternoon from Tunisia. Paolo Regazzi, okay, from Italy. Maurizio Arena is another master of JKD master in Italy. Manolito Herrera, hello Sifu Harinder, good bless. Darren Tiboni, so hello my brothers. You know.
Love you too, brother. Let's go back to Hawaii. Let's go.
Yeah. Sure, great. And also, I would like ask you next JKD events in the world that you are, in your mind, if you have, and please tell us because many European guys are interested in this way.
At the moment, because of COVID and everything, I haven't been traveling. I'm sure, as everybody knows. So I want to have a safe environment for everybody to train. So 2022, though, in 2022, I'll be doing a big event in Texas, my big Texas Chikundo retreat on the ranch. And I also am planning a European tour to go to England and Italy, possibly
When?
France.
In Italy too?
Still planning, and so hopefully, definitely London. And so I'll keep people posted. You just check me out on Facebook and Instagram, and or sifusing.com, and it'll be there. We're still in the planning stages because we don't know what's going to happen when the countries close up and things of that nature. But definitely Texas, we have a big event we normally do in Texas, but we pushed that to 2022.
Okay, thank you so much. We will push your, when you come in Italy, and yeah, we are happy for this. Another question about because I have seen you in Facebook and your website too, that you promote the new idea, not only about the warrior but the spiritual warrior. So I will ask you now, how to become a spiritual warrior. It's very important.
Yeah, I think it's very important. If we take a look at why we get into martial arts, right in the beginning, of course, some of us get into it because we like watching a movie or something like that. Or maybe somebody is a brother is in it, a friend is in it, But a lot of us also, most of us, we that obsess over martial arts get into it because we're afraid at some time that at some point there's a fight that we're fighting, or there's a bully or a situation or circumstance, right? So in the beginning, martial arts is about fighting. It's always about fighting, the physical fight, fighting another opponent. That's the first level. So that's becoming becoming a warrior. Then the next level is we have to become a healer. And becoming a healer means that we have to start to heal from those things that make us angry, those things that make us afraid, and have forgiveness. Like, for example, when I told you about being jumped at the beach with the gangsters, I could be so angry at them, or I could say, those were angels that came and attacked me that day so that I would change my life's trajectory and start taking a look at things that I didn't look at. Start thinking what's important to me really, because at that time, all I cared about was making money in the Silicon Valley and stock options and wanting to be a million. That's all I cared about. But that changed my life. That's why we're here talking now. And why am I here? What's the purpose? But if we can't get to the point of forgiving people, we can't get to the point of letting go of anger and hate and fear. That's what we have to heal from. And as a teacher, you have students who come to you. That's how they heal too, because you're giving them confidence. You're giving them courage, giving them clarity. You're teaching them to be humble, open, and detached. And then the next level is that you have to become a scholar. As a scholar, you have to start studying the art of war, the ways of the warrior, so that you can start making different choices in your life, different ideas. And then finally, at the end, the spiritual warrior, when you become at that level, you have to get to the point that you understand that it's not about you and it never was. How are we going to be a servant to God, the divine, the Tao, whatever you believe in? When does it stop becoming about you and it starts becoming about you helping people? And that's the path of the spiritual warrior. First, the physical, then the emotional, Then the culture, the trance, what people tell you, think, and the things you learn, the things you think are true, and understanding yourself. But then finally to the point of surrender, where when you get to surrender, it's like, it's not about me, it never was. I'm here to help people. How do I help people through martial arts, through empowering them to be better? And all of us have that evolution to go through. And we're always fighting a fight. And the fight is always here. And it's always against what people think and what people say and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, what your parents told you to do, what your friends told you to do. You have all of this going on. Then you have the environment, what's going on there. There's always a fight. So, and at different levels. And at the end of the day, when we realize that the fight truly is just with ourselves and our reactions and against our patterns, and then our true freedom comes in the ability to choose. We all can choose what we want. We can all choose to be brave when we're scared. We can all choose to be peaceful when there's chaos. But the most important thing of martial arts has to be, how do we choose to be happy when we're struggling? How do we choose to be happy when the world is going nuts? When you're not well, when things aren't going good? There's only one way. When you realize it's not about you, it's about something greater happening through you.
Great. Great. Thank you for this, because very, 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 very important, principle now. I decide now, because I didn't know about your event in Italy too, your Italian tour. You never said me this, so it's, for me, it's a surprise.
It's only in my head. It was a surprise to me too. I was like, hey, when the world opens up, I told my wife we'll go to Europe and do everything. So,
but of course, 101%, the legacy, European legacy, will support you in this way.
thank you.
This is my big intention, and not only my intention, but the intention of our 400 participants of European Legacy. So we will support you 101%, because you are, for me, not only brother, but you are great. You are great. So you are a great teacher. So so it's minimum. We can do this. So I will 101%, because you are great. You are a great man. Thank you so much for all your principle that you give it me today and give it us today, because European guy says, they have an idea about, Sifu Harinder, because when you see the people in America on the video, blah, 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 you can understand what the video can do, what the video can give you. But now, we talk about the principle and, a lot of lessons today. So I'm so honored. I'm so really, really happy to interview you, brother. Really happy.
It's my honor. My honor.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you so much for all of your explanation. Thank you so much for giving me the possibility to interview today. And then I would like invite you in Italy. I hope soon, very soon, because this coronavirus. I don't know what happened, but it's not important now. We continue push your way. You continue, please, because the people need to know the JKD way, as only you can explain in this way, like today. So it's fantastic. For me, it's fantastic. I would like to say this.
And Claudio, for you too, man. Anything you need, any support you need from me, I've always got your back, man. Any way that I can help you in your mission, and everybody out there, I'm there, because you are also heading up a wonderful initiative, bringing people together, linking the worlds, and it's a big project, and I know how much work it takes to do that, and the frustrations that go through it. But there's a lot of sacrifice that you've done, and I want to let you know that I can see clearly how much time, effort, and how much of your heart you put into martial arts. And so much respect to you, my brother. And anytime you need anything, you let me know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sifu. Thank you so much, Sifu Harinder. Okay. I have no other words, because you tell me a lot of principle. I am happy. I am very happy to this interview. I would like to say, thank you also to Grandmaster Darren Tibon. Thank you also to the other guys that permit to this interview. And then again, thank you, Sifu Harinder. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's stay in touch. Okay. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, and see you soon.
Everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.